I love the concept of speedrunning. There's something really special to me about seeing a game you've played 1,000 times and know front to back be completely destroyed by someone who effortlessly does things you never even thought possible in that game. Whether you're playing or just simply watching, the act of speedrunning is endlessly fascinating, and I've always wanted to try and speedrun a game for myself. But in my daily life, I don't really have a lot of time to learn a really long speedrun or learn really precise glitches or tricks. And I'm just not that interested in getting a world record. That is just way out of the cards for me. I just wanted to see how quickly I could beat a game I'm very familiar with. So what if I just tried to speedrun a game without looking at the actual speedrun, just learning my own strategies and time saves along the way? And the best candidate for that game was the very first LEGO Star Wars, which I must have played over 100 times in my childhood. It's a game I'm extremely familiar with, so I decided this was going to be the game I wanted to speedrun. I started very simple by just playing through the game, just seeing how quickly I could go from memory. Right away though, I discovered a lot of small things that would gain me massive time saves in the long run. I figured out the quickest way to attack as a Jedi is slashing on the ground, but most of the time, the best strategy is just ignoring all the enemies and quickly running past them. Getting killed though isn't the worst thing either, because you always respawn at the place you died only 2 to 3 seconds later. And you get some invisibility frames for a bit after you respawn, so you can use that to strategically use the Force on objects while getting shot at. But the biggest discovery early on was that blaster characters are easily the best character to play as. They have insane range and can spam their attacks way quicker than the Jedi characters can. So whenever I had the option, I would play as a blaster character. The only thing that was proving to be a problem were the droidekas, who have shields that have to be broken with a Jedi character. I started out by breaking these shields with a Jedi character and then switching back to a blaster character to finish the job, but eventually learned that you can actually kill the droideka with a blaster character if you spam the attack button when they're rolling, which saves me a bunch of time. All in all, everything was going much better than I expected it to. I was learning new strategies, and for my first attempt ever, I was going surprisingly fast. That is until I got to pod race. Now to quickly talk about the version of LEGO Star Wars that I'm playing. It has some major differences from the one that's included in the complete saga version of the game, which I'm guessing most people here have played. And the biggest changes can be found in this level, because the original version of this level is insanely difficult. Extremely tight windows that make you do a big chunk of the level over again if you fail them, a ton of insta-kill moments scattered throughout the level, bumping into a wall too hard loses a heart which you will not replenish during any point, so your steering has to be extremely precise, especially with these sluggish and delayed controls. And there are some RNG elements as well, like these bombs that are scattered at the end of each lap. All of these things were removed in the complete saga version of the game because I think they figured out how crazy this level must have been for a 6-year-old kid playing a silly little LEGO game. But since I was playing the old version, I just had to put up with it. I did eventually get better at pod race, but it was by far the hardest part of the run and I was always dreading it. After that you have Retake Theed Palace, which isn't the most difficult level, but it's one of the longest where lots of things can go wrong. For instance, the opening where the computer-controlled characters would just stay in this corner sometimes, making me lose a ton of time by having to go back for them. There are lots of droidekas as well that can slow you down. Sometimes the computer-controlled characters would just not do what they're supposed to. Where's R2? R2! You can go up, dude! And for some reason I kept falling off this bridge. To tell you the truth, I made a lot of really dumb mistakes in my first few runs. But that's also what made this whole thing so fun to me. Each and every run I could see myself improve a little, and seeing that big green time save on the clock is incredibly satisfying. After Retake Theat though, things became pretty straightforward for a bit. Darth Maul, Discovery and Camino and Droid Factory were all pretty easy, the last of the trio giving me a bit of trouble sometimes, but it still manages to be pretty doable. And then there's Jedi Battle. Jedi Battle is a very easy level, all things considered, but I wanted to mention it for two specific reasons. One, it has the longest load time of any level in the game by a mile, and two, this level is the biggest example of RNG in the run. There are two sections where you have to destroy a certain type and amount of battle droid that spawn randomly throughout the arena. Sometimes they just wouldn't spawn at all for almost a full minute. No matter how many times I went around the arena, they would just not show up. It made this level such a pace killer at times. I would just have to hope that these guys would spawn this run so I didn't lose a bunch of time I had just gained. Thankfully though, the rest of episode 2 is incredibly short and simple. Gunship Cavalry can be beaten in under 3 minutes and is very easy once you know what you're doing. And Dooku is also a really short and easy fight. You might have noticed I didn't talk about the Coruscant Chase level, and that's because that level is not in this version. It got added into Complete Saga, but originally episode 2 only had 5 levels. Episode 3 is mostly straightforward as well. The first level has some pretty annoying setbacks if you get hit by the blasters too much. The Dooku fight in level 2 can be kind of annoying, and the ending of Kashyyyk was a little difficult at times, but overall, this episode gave me the least amount of trouble throughout my runs. I ended my first run at 1 hour, 48 minutes and 43 seconds, which was so much better than I was expecting. At this point, I set a goal for myself. I wanted to see if I can beat this game in under 1 hour and 30 minutes. There were already so many things I could see myself doing differently on a second attempt, so sub 130 didn't seem that crazy to me. Go. From here on out, I started to stream attempts every day and was discovering so many new time saves each and every run. You don't have to destroy these droideka in negotiations. I started getting better with blaster characters. I was using the environment more to block enemies from shooting me and became more familiar with trigger zone placements. I figured out you can move a little bit after an in-game cutscene has started, so you can quickly position yourself on a spot that can save you some time. I got better at the boss fights. I also learned that Yoda is insanely good for movement, and I figured out you don't have to kill the clones at the end of Ruin of the Jedi. I could just ignore them, and most of the time they wouldn't even hit me once. After a couple of these runs, I got a time of 1 hour, 33 minutes and 18 seconds, and got really excited over how close that 1 hour and 30 minute goal felt. I can't wait. I can't wait until I get that 130. That's gonna be so hype. But still, I had over 3 minutes to shave off. Now I could get some pretty big time saves from getting better at pod racing and dying less on Battle over Coruscant, but that would not be enough to get me to sub 130. I would have to discover some new tricks and strategies on top of having really good luck throughout the run and just generally playing consistently well. Plus, there were still some things that gave me a lot of trouble. Sometimes the game would just refuse to let me use the Force on an object. Quickly switching between different characters was still something I hadn't quite figured out. These battle droids at the beginning of Darth Maul were always some trouble. I couldn't always kill the droideka with a blaster character in time. I would often get slow kills on the Magna Guards at the end of the second level of episode 3, and the ending of Kashyyyk was a part I really didn't have a strategy for yet. I would just kind of wing it. So I kept on doing a bunch of attempts until finally I got a 1:30:48. Oh my god! I was only 49 seconds away from my goal, but this was a weird run. I felt like I had played really well, but the game would just not work with me here. The hit detection would sometimes not register at all, I didn't get great RNG on Geonosis, the characters spawned at bad places to switch between, and the game was kinda glitching out a little. but the pod race went perfectly and the end of Kashyyyk was really solid. Overall, I just played really well this run, but was constantly slowed down by the game acting weird. This was still a great run though, and sub 130 felt like it was inching closer and closer. And then I hit a wall. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I started making mistake after mistake on top of having really bad luck within the game. It felt like I was regressing and every run would just end in a time loss. Sometimes I would get really close to 130 again, and then something unexpected would happen in episode 3 and all that time saved was gone. "18 seconds, baby." Hey, that was the best episode 1 yet. Oh. Oh shit, this might actually be the run. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh my god. Holy shit, dude. 110, I even gained time from episode 2. The journey ends, sub 130 is broken. After about 1 month of LEGO Star Wars speedrunning, I beat my own goal of sub 130. And the funny thing is, this wasn't even that great of a run. I made a ton of mistakes and I had bad RNG, but still I managed to get it. Whoa, we're having especially bad RNG today. Where is this guy? Oh, here he is. The actual speedrun for Glitchless on console is 1 hour, 7 minutes and 48 seconds, which was a lot faster than I did it. It was actually really fun to finally see the world record for myself because I could see some of the strategies I discovered myself back in this run. The biggest time saves in the world record compared to my own came from playing with 2 controllers to play as both characters, and playing the game out of order. And there were also a ton of smart routes used here that I never even thought to try. As of recording this, I haven't submitted my run yet, but I would be placed 7th on the leaderboard, which for someone who didn't know the actual run, is pretty good. I'm happy with it. I hope you all enjoyed this little experimental video of mine, and I want to give a quick shout out to my brother who made this little Lego animation. His channel is called Brickmark and you should give it a watch because he has a ton of really funny and awesome videos on there. So yeah, go check him out and I'll see you all later. I need to set Palpatine as my alarm. So like I need to hire I need to hire a sound-alike, somebody that sounds like Palpatine to just speak a little like custom message for me. To just say, "Get out of bed. Do it." Do it. Wake up. Do it. Dude, that would get me out of bed in no time. Do it. Get out of bed now.